Merrimack TV content may no longer be available on YouTube. To continue watching our programs, please download the Merrimack TV app from your device's App Store. Programs may also be available at merrimacktv.com.
Okay, first jumping in, agenda items. So I guess we can go in the order of the agenda. I don't know if anyone had a preference to anything otherwise. So traffic, drop-off, band days at J Muse. Matt, I think you wanted to lead in here.
I spent the last 3 Thursdays in the parking lot and other various locations looking at security cameras on the impact of band on. Oh, I didn't have mine. I did such a nice intro too, and now I've got to try and recreate it. I spent the last 3 Thursdays in the parking lot of J Muse. It's not their parking lot; it's Our Lady of Mercy's parking lot, because J Muse does not have a parking lot that it owns. So I spent three Thursdays in that parking lot, and I counted around 24 instruments coming into that building. Okay. 3 of which arrived by parents driving cars, and the rest arrived by kids on buses. And during that period of time when I was looking at it, 3 Thursdays in a row, that the traffic didn't seem impacted that much at all in a negative fashion. On the contrary, it seemed to flow better, and there seemed to be less cars because parents were putting their kids on buses who had instruments as opposed to trying to shove them in their vehicles of whatever they use for a vehicle. So that's what I found out, and that's what I witnessed. So I don't know if this is an item you guys want to talk about. I'm just making a statement of what I saw. And Rich, do you have anything to add to that?
I've been monitoring it too, and since we've done having the buses pull up further, we're getting people through there much quicker. We're not having as much backup on the road. If there's any, it might be for 5 minutes, if that. It's a tough area to put a lot of cars. We try to tell the parents to let the kids go on the bus, but because it's a centralized school, and throughout the 16 years I've been working here, I've noticed that parents don't want their kids, especially the ones in the outer, they'd rather drive them in because it is a longer ride. We try to keep our bus rides under 45 minutes. Sometimes it gets closer to 50 minutes. In the afternoon, we have to do 2 shifts of buses going through. You can't put buses side by side with each other because prior to me coming here, there was an incident where a child got hit by a car, or by a bus, I believe. Not seriously injured, but enough that it was okay. Now we have to do 2 lineup of buses. So we bring in 7, kids get on, and then we have the second wave. They do the same thing up at the middle school due to the lack of, space to put the 16 buses up there. It's been going, like I said, a lot better than it was before. I know there were complaints before about there was a hold up, longer hold up. We've looked at different areas, how we could do it. It'd be a nightmare if we now have them go up to O'Gara Drive and come around that way, because we'll have people cutting across Brentwood Drive, which is
Brentwood Drive.
It almost looks like you're gonna be cutting across the school parking lot to get onto that road. It's where the old Brentwood School was on, and where the special service building is. And then to come up would have a hard time having buses exit Bishop Street onto McElwain to leave.
And I think if you're coming from DW Highway,
Yep.
and you want to get to the upper elementary school, and we're going to try and implore you to use O'Gara, I don't think that's going to work.
No.
Because parents are going to see the shortest distance between 2 points is going up Babusick Lake Road and hooking a left on McKellen. So they're not going to be, I wouldn't do it, to be encouraged to go on O'Gara Drive, around the high school. They're going to cut through Brentwood. At that point in time, you got the MES bus.
Yeah, we have
Thing going
MES
on?
buses actually exiting onto O'Gara Drive to leave. So now we're gonna be putting buses in front of each other.
And
Parents cutting in
I put
front.
that whole map up on the big screen so you can see, and I gave you copies of it. That big blob over there, that's JMU's, and then the other portion is Master Cola Elementary School. And you notice there is no parking lot for Master Cola Upper Elementary School. It is owned by the church, and we are there by the grace of God. Let me put it that way. They could give us 90 days notice and we would be kicked out. We do not have a plan, we don't own a parking lot for that building. So if they were to sell, this is for the future. This isn't me hitting the panic button, oh my God, we have to do something about it. But not enough people know that this is what's going on. There's an agreement that was signed years ago, and I think the most recent one was Marge was here, right? Saying that, the town's gonna take care of maintenance, the school district's gonna take care of plowing, any major work that needs to be done to this parking lot is gonna be split, 25% church, 50%, whatever percent town, whatever percent school. And so there's a nice agreement going on, and it could run into perpetuity, but, I just want to make people aware that, as real estate values increase and land is at a premium, quite frankly, if the Diocese of Manchester chooses to sell that property, and I'm not saying they're going to, but they did look at it a number of years ago. We got a call on it. And, it may or may not happen, but it is something you should be aware of, that could be a potential problem. And the only way to solve that problem of not having access to that property is to take away a couple of fields. And we all know what a problem that is, right? Because of the Fields Need Committee of 2013 that said we needed, I don't know how many, double the amount of fields in this town. So that's just an issue. But as Rich said, going around O'Gara, in theory, I think it's a good idea, but in practice, and knowing how people behave, and then knowing the problem with Master Cola Elementary School, I think it's going to be a little bit problematic. And you see Brentwood.
Hey, Matt,
What?
we've got a question here, if that's all right.
Is that you or me? Yeah. So just question,
Yeah,
is Woodbury Street the one that's right next to Buckley's?
it's right here, yep.
That's the one I read.
It goes down the hill.
Right.
That would be better. for
Because
people
I
to go
usually
up
come
that
up,
one instead, so that.
right, going up that one and coming, or encouraging people when they leave to take the right off Bishop Street and go down there, because I've seen, I was one of the ones that originally complained about the congestion. I will say, because a certain someone is always missing her bus. I have been at JMU's a lot recently, but we usually get there around 8:30 or
Yeah.
so, and there is not a line anymore. There was considerable backup, but I'm not seeing it anymore. But I don't know if going up Woodbury is a consideration.
Well, it kind of all depends where you're coming from. If you're coming from the south end of town and you got to take a left-hand turn onto Woodbury to go up Woodbury and then go right, that's a little bit difficult. I've tried doing it myself, and it is problematic.
But what would help is if the DWH was widened at that intersection, because that any car turning left or any vehicle holds up that whole line of.
And I did get you laser pointers, but they don't work on the computer screen. though. Caitlin, you requested the laser pointer,
Yeah,
right?
and it doesn't
See?
work.
And then you go on the, and it doesn't work.
Oh, there it is.
It's
I
too
just
high
saw it.
tech back when I was a kid. It was like on an
So-
actual, like, you know.
I do have
Chris,
another question,
stocking
Maggie.
stuffers
Can
for
I
you.
ask you a question
Yeah,
about?
Matt, Donna's got a question. Hold on.
You guys had you made a comment about parking, and you're talking about staff parking is to the north or to the west of School Street, the gray area, between School Street and the school, both, just where it says School Street and then to the left. Those are parking lots that the school owns, or they don't?
That's the
elementary parking lot.
Yeah,
Yes, they do own
There's
them.
parking.
the
right-
first
There's no
parking
access to
area has probably spots for around 40 cars,
I was gonna
maybe.
say, But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty full.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
This time of, that time of morning.
There are parking spots though that the school
Yeah,
does
well, there,
own,
but there's not
for,
nearly
like,
enough.
employees.
You
Of
need,
course.
you need around, I don't know, 150, and you got like 40.
The other,
maybe.
you know, I mentioned it a couple of months ago when we were originally talking about it, I work for the Bedford school system, and the middle school and high school did something drastic 2 years ago and made it one way. And it's a big loop around the entire facility. And it is huge, it's a big, huge facility. And it is one way, and people had to get used to it, but they're used to it.
Did they finally fix McKelvey School?
I work at the middle school and the high school
Oh, okay.
complex.
Because McKelvey
And
had
it's-
like letters A through M, you have to go in through Liberty Hill, and letters M through whatever.
They did fix
you
that.
had to go
Oh,
through
gosh,
county.
it was
so
really, yeah,
half
they
the-
did fix
Half
that.
the
It's
people
really,
who wanted to go,
it's,
they
it's
were in the wrong
actually-
line.
It's actually really impressive what they've done with it, if you ever got a chance to drive by.
I live
It's
right
all-
near there, so
It's
I
all
can.
painted differently, and the buses are all there. But the one way, you know, it actually from Bedford, it goes to they swing up around the building.
This the Ross Lergio Middle School in Bedford High.
Yes.
They go all the way. I'm familiar with that.
They do, it's a one-way,
Yeah.
it's a one-way thing, and they drop off around the.
How about parents? Where do they drop off?
It's interesting. I would encourage you to drive by. There's 3 lanes. The left lane is a drop-off lane. The middle
Mhm.
is a travel lane, and the right is to the parking lots.
Yeah, see, they had the advantage of building the school in an era where traffic design was considered. Because when we did Merrimack High School, we did, you know, a lot of other schools, like the upper elementary school, which used to be the high school years ago. Kids didn't drive cars. And so Bedford has parking lots going all the way down to the ball fields for
Bedford-
student cars. So
Bedford-
they had the advantage of having a good architect.
Merrimack has plenty of student parking.
They do.
That's for sure. In Bedford, it was a cluster for years, until about 2 years ago, when they finally just did something drastic, and it's all one way at this point.
Yeah, which is fine. I think it's great.
So Bill, sorry, Bill, yeah.
Matt, do you know if anyone
Thank
over the
you.
years has approached the Archdiocese to ask for essentially the right of first refusal if they decide to
Yeah.
dispose of the property?
I'm not sure if it's in the agreement. I would say it is not in the agreement. So that would be something to look at.
I think it's worth us,
Yeah.
looking at that.
That was a good one, yeah.
That's a priority one, I think.
Yeah.
We just gotta go on there and, you know, be on our best behavior, and hopefully everything will be fine.
Okay, so to give some clarity and direction to the topic, so I believe we've recognized that there's been an improvement with how we've adjusted the bus drop-off, which has resulted in better or less congestion. Is it a true statement that we're no longer dealing with traffic on Babusick for the most part?
Pretty much.
'Cause
I
that
mean,
was-
sometimes it backs up, right, Caitlin? I mean,
I would say that there's still considerable, and not from the buses. It's not
Right.
you guys. It's the parents that are trying to turn left off after they've dropped off their child. They're trying to leave Babusick and turn left, and they can't because everybody's going down, or there's one person that's still trying to drop up their kid off. And
They're on
I-
McElwain, and they're trying to take a
They're
left on a
on-
Babusick, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so that's with because I have seen that.
Yes, yeah.
And sometimes, like a DPW truck will stop and let them all go.
Yeah.
Or a bus will do the same thing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. It's more after drop off.
Yeah.
It's not as much coming in. It's because there is a little coming in, and I think, and I've been taking pictures, and it was every day, different days of the week. I did it Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday. Every time I saw it backed up after I would drop off my son at MES and go into the school for something, and then leave, and my daughter takes the bus, so I'm not even bringing her to the upper, but even just trying to get out of there and seeing how many parents are there definitely before the 8:20 that they're talking about.
They're
So
there
a lot
at
of-
8 o'clock.
Right, so I think that
Yeah.
that's part of what I'm saying. I'm like, the buses are doing an awesome job making their adjustments. I think that in the future, if we're setting expectations for the next school year, we can adjust those with the earliest arrival time is X, whatever later than they're doing now. I know that we already are encouraging it, but, more like this is so that we can improve how we exit, or if there's a way that we can have people when they're leaving Bishop, if they are going left, I don't know, a different direction, that we can give them so that they can make that easier, and then that will decrease the traffic that's already naturally on Babusick, because people won't be trying to get back onto Babusick so that they can go left, right, go to work, wherever it is. If we give them a different
We can give them
pattern
suggestions,
and things like that.
but we can't mandate how they drive.
Right, well,
So, yeah, Anthony, I think you had the
yeah,
next.
Yeah, go ahead.
that's okay.
Thanks. So, yeah, I was gonna say, so if the one-way suggestion were considered, I was just thinking that probably having people come off Ogara onto Babusick as the out would be good. And then, in the other directions. And only because at that McElwain and Babusick, I often find actually that there's artificial congestion here, because some people who are eager to get out of the school after drop-off will block lanes
Oh, yeah.
right there.
Absolutely.
And you'll a lot of times end up with so if you're trying to get onto DW or whatever, that whole line will be filled, and it's completely empty in the other lane to go up, toward Nashua. Nobody is there, but you can't get there because there's parents blocking the way. So I think that if we, if it's considered to take the Bedford approach and try to do a one-way thing, then popping out a little further down Babusick would help mitigate some of that. And then another thing, I'm pretty sure when I was in high school that there was actually a nominal kind of parking fee, students had to get
Yeah, that's $50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is that still a thing today?
Yes, $50. It was 25. We changed it to 50.
And did you get less congestion when you bumped it? If we go to 75, what happens?
No,
Right?
nothing is
I don't
going to
think
happen.
It's as much the
It's not the
congestion with the
kids,
kids
yeah.
parking.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's the parents and the natural flow of traffic.
And it's the
Just
rush of a
on this.
10-minute period of time.
Yes.
Everybody's trying to slam
Yeah,
in there.
it's literally
Nikki Rowe has already put out memos saying, we don't want you to see you until 8:20 or whatever it is. Maybe it needs to be stressed more, but a lot of people aren't listening to that.
They don't, because, I'm just being devil's advocate.
Gina, you're on the line.
Well, I just might press your button.
Finley's
I didn't
next,
grab
then
the line,
Lori.
Sorry.
I was just answering him why they're not listening.
No, go ahead. I want to hear why aren't they listening? Oh, Laurie.
I
go
think it's because, and I work from home, so I'm lucky, but they figure if they're there earlier and they're
Yeah, I
first
know.
in line, then they can get to their job at
Exactly.
9 o'clock. So it's hard. It's not that they want to be a pain. It just they want to be first in, because they have to be there at a certain time. So I think that's why it's not.
I don't disagree with
Working,
that,
yeah.
to be honest with you.
And tell them, if you get here, we can still be able to get that out. I don't know how we do it though.
I'll go back.
I was just gonna say, so what I heard from Anthony is that there are some people that are kind of blocking, and if we could maybe get the Merrimack Police just to come and, do a quick, let people out and just take a peek and see if we can, you know, I don't know if they would do that as a courtesy, just so we can get people to be trained, because it seems like we don't have to make a big change if we can fix a few things. So I think maybe that we could
Encourage
ask.
road etiquette.
Yeah, we could ask, like, could you, you know, because
I like
we used to
that.
have people that we could hire, the people, like, just getting in the morning on O'Gara is a nightmare. We used to have, you know, a lot of people that would come and direct traffic, and there are people in Merrimack that direct traffic at certain places, you know, they're wonderful and they get the traffic through. And it's really like, you know, a half hour, 45 minutes and it's done. I just don't know.
I want to ask Rich a
Yeah.
question. What's your experience with traffic control at the high school?
At the high school,
High school, middle, whatever, it's the complex.
We weren't needing
so
but don't we need it?
what we're looking at now is we're having issues hiring crossing guards. And
They're hired by the police
they're
department.
hired by the police
We can't get 'em.
department. They're trained by the police department. They go out there and they used to have, when you come off O'Gara Drive, we have somebody down there that moves the traffic. The issue they're having is that it's hard to find somebody to come and work, you know, get paid for 2 hours when they work maybe an hour and a half.
What
okay?
was it, $19 an hour they're advertising?
I think it was like 18.
It was 18 at first, yeah.
And we're having issues down at Thornton's where we have Bruce who does the Turkey Hill. So if you ever been in that cluster where
that's what I was thinking.
everybody's
He
coming,
moves it.
he moves
And,
it.
and he's like the happiest man alive. Like, he's such a morale
I mean,
booster.
He worked for the town 40 years before he took that job. He loves it.
Bruce Morrow?
You know, Bruce Morrow.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah.
Oh, of course I do.
Go down Turkey Hill Road. And Bruce helps us in the afternoon with Thornton's Ferry. The problem is, a lot of times, the police have to go over and help with Thornton's Ferry, because that's a terrible road when it comes to traffic control.
Well, Camp Sargent, the problem with that is the school's built right on the street and there's no big entrance to it.
Oh, that's-
Kind of like Reed's where you have Lions Road that's,
Exactly.
Right.
you know, long.
So we've been trying to work with the PD. I know when there isn't somebody there, and they've been great, don't get me wrong. We got to realize this town has grown quite a bit since I came here back in '85. So, and I was a police officer for 23 years, right? So I know traffic better than anybody here. And we always had somebody there. We had a man that was almost 100 years old, Roy, that did traffic. I mean, remember him? I mean, he was great. The problem we're having is finding somebody that would come, work 4 hours a day for $18 an hour. We've done everything. We put it in, the school papers. If anybody's interested, it's a perfect retirement job. But I think they need to pay more for somebody to actually go do it.
So an
But,
Senior center?
they've done everything. I've had conversations with the chief, and he's done everything, and he goes, he says, Rich, we're not getting people in here.
This might be
So,
I was gonna
This-
say, you upped it.
this might be unreasonable. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
like, do high schoolers do like community service projects? Like, could they potentially get trained and do a stint as a crossing guard and rotate through a lineup?
It's liability, Anthony. It's almost like having monitors on buses. It
Yep.
becomes a liability.
Oh, so they don't do
It's-
that anymore? There's no more crossing guard thing?
They
for
try to help
students?
us when they can, but, Gara Drive's tough. I mean, if, some of this might be alleviated if we had somebody out there, and they're doing the best. I know the PD, half of them I train that are in the upper ranks. They tell me it's just, in this economy, it's hard to find somebody like a Bruce. I don't know what's gonna happen when Bruce, if he decides to retire. I mean, because he does Turkey Hill, Thornton's Ferry.
Right.
So,
So how do is there a way to address the compensation for that role? I mean, it may not be a huge budget hit to anybody to offer $20 an hour.
Well, that's part of it. It sounds like
Sorry.
chump change, but it is,
It all adds up.
it all adds up. And so, but to Rich's point, we definitely had a hard time filling those spots. It works, but I just don't know how we can make it happen. The PD doesn't have time. They shift changed a little bit before that, and they're busy, so they have difficulty. If they have a chance, they'll pop in, because I've seen them up at O'Gara on occasion, but they rarely have the chance to do it. And then I'm going to bring it back to the point that I originally was going to talk about, I don't know if you were talking about the Bedford High School where it's the one way around. Yes. The difference, I think, is that's a dedicated school lane. It goes in, because I've driven around it a couple times picking up a friend's kid, and it's pretty cool. But it is a long ride, but it loops you all the way around the building. Here, you've got neighborhoods and streets, and it would be a little more difficult. And then lastly, it hit me tonight when Caitlin was talking about it's exiting traffic. That's a problem, because when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at Babusk Lake Road, because when you start tying up Babusk Lake Road, that's a main, it's not an artery, but I guess it's a secondary route that's heavy. And so that's been cleared up. When I said a couple weeks ago that I think it's not been gotten rid of completely, but it's definitely gotten better, it's Babusk Lake Road. I know the backup she's talking about on McKelvin, but for me, it's Babusk Lake Road. Keeping that open is critical, because that was jamming up for a good distance, and that has gotten better, I think.
It's definitely worth a trip up to Bedford, just to look, because you know where the lacrosse field and the football field is in Bedford? That's two-way up until the field. So all the parking lot that's right there for the field, for the school, and then for the field in the evening, that's two-way. But it's one way all the way around until it gets there. So then you can't go past the school, right? So it's kind of like public property. It's not like, whatever.
Right.
There is a spot there to the left where it's two-way. And it's worth the drive. It's 10 minutes to see the pattern of it.
So Bedford had the opportunity to design it that way, though, because they built that school, right?
No, it was just like this.
Oh, it was?
For years, and 2 years ago they designed it like this.
Did they lay down new pavement, or did they just work with what they had?
Probably new pavement. I don't know.
Because it's wide. You said 3 lanes, and
It was 3 lanes, like the road to the middle school is
I would
36
check
feet
it out. They
wide.
did not add any width to the road. It's just.
So I know we've got a couple other questions
Oh, it's
here.
probably 15 years
Gina
ago.
Or Lori, one of you.
Yeah. And they have to pay Manchester $4 million.
Rich, I was just going to say,
We've
So
got
do
a lot
I.
of side conversations.
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
can't differentiate. Sorry.
so the only thing I was going to say about trying to get, crossing guards is maybe if they didn't look for someone 5 days a week, they look for someone, 5 people for 1 day a week. There's enough retired people that don't want to work 5 days a week, but if someone had Monday, someone had Tuesday, but if I was going to go on vacation, I think they just have to try to be more creative in the job description. I do think more money will help, but also be more flexible. You don't need to be here 5 days a week. You're going to take Mondays, and they get all trained together, and then if I can't do my Monday, maybe Donna can take my Monday, and they work together like that. Maybe that would help. Because I think there are people in the community that would do some of it, but they just don't want to do the 5 days.
So, adding on to that, so for the 2 hours, I know, for example, for Thornton's Ferry, the crossing guard comes and they'll start at like 8:15 when they can get in, and I mean they're done by 8:45. What if you also marketed to stay-at-home moms or moms? We'll pay you for an hour. You'd be able to drop your child off right there. You can make $20-25.
I think it's stay-at-home parents, Gina. Stay-at-home parents.
But they're still saying. I mean, you give me $30 an hour, I'll stand out there for an hour.
We got 1 day, Phil.
Can you do 1 hour, or does it have to be 2 hours minimum for minimum wait? Like you have to do 2. I don't know.
You just can't hire for 15 minutes and say
I'm
goodbye.
saying like
right.
you have to hire for X amount of hours, right? I don't know how.
But they're not actually working those full 2 hours. I mean, they're working for a very short
Yeah.
period of time in the morning and the
Right.
afternoon.
Matt at a prior meeting may have mentioned one of the ideas that we came up with was an early arrival option.
Yeah.
We implemented that in my former district in Massachusetts when bus fees were implemented. And we had postage stamp size school lots and lots of parents who then wanted to transport their child. So for very minimal fee, we said you could start dropping your child off at the elementary school at about 7:45, and that's what we have proposed here. Nikki sent out a survey. The response was somewhat lukewarm, but it's worth trying it again and trying to sell this, trying to engage in a marketing campaign. It can work. It worked extraordinarily well in Westwood because people were able to drop their child off safely, get on their way to work, which was extraordinarily important to them. And so I'm going to see if we can keep chipping away at this and see if we can interest more and more parents at that. They would be able to drop their child off somewhere around 7:45 or so. We'd have them supervised in the lunchroom of each elementary school, or at least JMU's, which is where the primary issue resides. And so we're not going to give up on that yet.
Have it include breakfast, because they do offer breakfast there now, say for, okay, it's only $1.50, but, I mean, it's still marketing thing. If you
Yeah.
drop your kid off, breakfast is included.
Okay, so this is good conversation. I guess I'd like to put it to the committee here, whether, okay, so I think we've resolved some congestion with the bus.
We have.
Bus plan. Maybe not a perfect solution because of the physical layout that we have to deal with. Is this a concern that we want to continue to evaluate? Or is this we've gotten as good as it can be for the moment and then revisit it if it becomes an issue? I'll put that out to the committee.
I guess a clarifying question I would ask, because it seems like, there are ideas. It seems like the administration has good ideas. Is there a value that we can provide? Is there a service role? Like, what would we do? What could we do to help that you don't have at the table already?
And to add to that real quick, I captured here timing, like early arrival, and potential for traffic control. So if those are, solutions that you could implement, and then how do we help execute, right, or whatever. Right. And Gina?
I think if we do want to do something, we should have it in place by the time the school year starts, because we don't want to start the school year and then have like this new procedure and people be like, I don't get it, so.
But, so for this committee though, do we feel that this is a topic that we want to keep on our agenda rolling forward? Or do we feel as though enough has been done to alleviate the immediate concerns?
Would, the suggestions Bill just brought up again, because you mentioned that before, is that something the school board would do? It's something, I don't know that we would do that here. It's I'm just thinking out loud.
So as an output of this meeting, we could be making recommendations to consider
school
early
board.
arrival and traffic enforcement.
Well, we already have the National Adult Learning Center that does early arrival at like 6:30 in the morning. And they do late pickups in like 6 o'clock in the afternoon too.
At our schools?
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
yeah. So it's there. We were talking about doing something that for a less
Much lower
expensive fee, lower cost, bring your kid in at what, 7 o'clock
Right.
or?
But
7?
we said, we originally talked about either 7:30 or 7:45.
Yeah.
Both timeframes would give us enough to meter the arrival of traffic, let parents drop their children off, get off to work, and that reduces probably 30% of the traffic load if
Yeah, we
optimally.
got like 24 responses. That's it.
Yeah.
Out of a school of 500 kids. So that tells you
That's
something.
pretty typical though, right? Like, 'cause people are so busy, so.
Yeah, so we need to keep chipping away at it.
But some of that could be awareness too. So as soon as people start to recognize they could get in 30 minutes early, and then there might be food available to the child, right?
Depending
Like-
upon when the kid comes, because
pick
it's
them.
not a hard, you have to be here by this, we gave them a range, right? Didn't we give them a range?
Yeah.
So, if you come in 5 minutes before everything's gonna start, you're probably not getting breakfast, Or maybe you're getting a grab-and-go thing, I have no idea.
Tim, may I ask, would this committee feel it is in the purview to have us approach, or the school board approach, the archdiocese? I mean, we have such a vested interest in that
That should be one of our,
parking area.
things.
We need that part.
Yeah, I would say that should be
Yeah.
something
That's
that we follow up, like one
The
of our
first rights of
follow-up.
refusal
Yeah.
conversation?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I had that sort of
And then
too.
I also think the conversation that at the upper that they have with the parents, more of a like, traffic. We know traffic is. I know I get the emails too, but I still see people coming early, but, you know, like talking about traffic and how if you're showing up at this time and if we are leaving these ways differently than we are now, like when you turn out of Bishop, if you're going down Daniel Webster, then we recommend that you utilize Woodbury Street. And, you know, like that way you're not sitting in that Babusick traffic and those two lights or one light, whatever light.
If I was a parent and I was going south, I'd take a right on McKelwin, I'd go down
But
Woodbury,
people-
and I'd be gone.
That's what I'm saying, but people don't all know because like not everybody so we don't all know those roads and stuff. And at one time, back when I was a kid, you couldn't use Woodbury
Right. It was
at
one
certain
way.
times a day. It was a one way.
Yeah.
Yep, and you couldn't go. Yeah, you couldn't go out
down
of it, and
McElwain.
when you were going, you couldn't go down McElwain.
McKelwin
during a
used to be
certain
2 and
time.
3 because I got a ticket
Yes,
because I
know.
went. Yeah.
I
did.
I was there for all of that. That's
A
why I
lot
had
of
to
people
walk to
got
school all the
tickets.
time.
$75. It still hurts me.
And-
Testing the system.
and-
So,
Yeah.
so I think that if we gave that, and not us, but we were to encourage that the principals were like, this is,
These
here's
are options,
ways,
yes.
to utilize it to help people. Like, we understand you want to get to work. We want to be able to eliminate this traffic too. Here are, like our suggestions that we haven't shared with you before, that kind of thing. And that way it might help, because that's really, that Babusick traffic is a lot of that problem. McElwain to Babusick, I guess.
Okay, so I think what I've heard here is that, I'm putting words in everyone's mouth, is that this is an issue that we can retire based off of some recommendations that have come out of this meeting of pursue first rights. We recommend you pursue first rights of refusal with the church property. Consider what you can do for early arrival in time management, right? And then the traffic control or encouraging good road etiquette.
Well, you hope so. And if we can get somebody, we do find another Bruce, that would be great. Because in the afternoon, and a lot of people don't know, is when the buses are leaving the high school. As you know, it's like a train, right? They go up to the middle school, they have two waves. One train comes in, and like you say, it is a pain a lot of times to make that right-hand turn. People do have to use good etiquette to let buses make that wide turn to get on McElwain, to go down to the high school and take the left and go around the building. Exiting that area has been very tough for the buses, and sometimes we get in trouble because we will have a bus block off traffic and let the other buses go because there isn't a crossing guard there. So if we can try to work on that, and I know the PD, trust me, has really been looking, but
Next year at this
for
time,
people.
we'll possibly be applying for that.
There you go, Bill. We'll get you a uniform and a badge.
And
What's
a
a whole lot
taser.
of fun in the afternoon is when there's at least one bus that has to go down the street next to the police station,
Yeah,
and it can't unless there's a space.
unless
Traffic's
people
all
use,
backed up.
you know, they gotta be more nicer to the buses.
What do you call it, number, call it,
It's Hillside,
encourage road etiquette.
yeah,
Yeah, hillside.
yeah, going down Hillside.
Yeah, and just a couple of little things, like physical changes, maybe that would be perhaps easy and maybe helpful. So where that McElwain does dump out into Babusick Road, two just thoughts. One is on the opposite side of the road where the cemetery is, there's in fact a terrible looking cliff pothole thing right there on the side of the road. So when folks are sort of parked trying to get in there, nobody can really get around them unless they have like a monster truck. So if even just a small amount of like just put some concrete there, like so
Yeah.
people can get around, that would actually let a lot of people get out through this way. And then this is kind of an ugly sounding solution, but a thought is also in that same intersection, on the McElwain side of the road there, sometimes if there's a real problem area where cars tend to block access, then they'll paint like a spot that says "Do not block," and it's hashed out so people kind of know like you shouldn't be stopping your car here. It's kind of ugly sounding, but like those two things and that one point I think would really alleviate a lot of congestion.
On Babusa Lake Road, isn't there a do
Well,
not block already?
There is, and the reason, the way that came about is that Church Street across the street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That, there was conversations about closing, and the conversations have come back again, closing Church Street, going
Right
down
there.
onto Route 3. No, we're in,
Right
yeah,
here.
Church Street.
Church
Yeah,
Street.
yeah,
Church
yeah,
Street.
right
Right
over
there.
here. And so people were saying that they were having a difficult time coming out, so we put the hash marks up on the end of Church Street and not in front of McElwain. And so, but at the point, so, and what I've seen is that people don't,
Yeah.
it's like they don't even
Is
know
that
it's
washed
there.
out? Because I haven't noticed it.
You know, maybe it is, because I know it's there. but-
I've never
It's still
noticed
there, but
it.
It's
dull
faded.
over the year, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. People just sat on it anyway.
Yeah, people, they just get caught up in the moment. And I think most people try to be courteous, but they're just in their world, and all of a sudden they found that they're trapping somebody in and didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, sure. But even a 20%, 30% change is
Yeah,
maybe worth the paint, you know?
might bring it back again, yeah.
So maybe something that this committee can help with, to help the school board with, is pursuing creative ways to fill the traffic control officer position? Do we want to take something like that on and get creative in our brainstorm sessions of how we would potentially help market or advertise for that?
I can get more of the detail. I think it would be more pay, and I don't know how that'll go. It sounds like,
Okay.
for all of us sitting here, right now, knowing how many hours it takes, it's chump change. But having those conversations is very difficult lately.
If let me ask, would the town ever offer a tax abatement? In addition to paying a salary, would they offer, could that be a possibility of offering a tax abatement on your property tax if you were in that job?
That would be.
The state would have to allow that.
Yeah, I
You
don't
mean
know if
saying
you could
abate
do
some of their
that.
property taxes?
Yeah, no, that would be a town, in the town
I'm saying
decision.
like you do an MOU, so the school will pay some and you'll pay some for the crossing guard.
Is that what you're saying, Bill? I missed that altogether.
No, I was thinking about an abatement, a partial abatement of the residential property tax.
Yeah, the only thing a town can do in New Hampshire is what the state allows them to do, and that's not allowed. Used to be rumors about Budweiser came in, they got a big tax break for 10 years. Not true,
Well, that's what I've been
unconstitutional.
here for a long
Yeah,
time.
so that couldn't happen, yeah.
Okay.
But
So maybe that's not an idea.
I think, we can have a conversation again with town, I'll talk to the town manager.
All right. But
And,
I think we
Have him
can,
jog my memory.
we can retire this topic for now.
I think so.
with-
Is there a need for a vote on that, or is it
Yeah,
okay?
do we want to
just-
vote on that? Do we vote on that?
I had a good, or an idea. Sorry, I wasn't listening to you. My bad. I was thinking for if we were to offer whoever, if it was a working or a mom, a stay-at-home parent, not mom, if they were able to drop off their child for free at that early, whatever program that they have, that way they have that childcare already checked off, because that's sometimes the problem. Like, whoa,
Sure.
my child I can't be here for the traffic because I'm sitting in it, so if they could go to that for their child, not them, go to that and not have to pay, then that might be another incentive for them to take that position.
That was somewhat of an issue of resistance in the survey results that we had, that we were only going to charge a nominal fee. I think it was like $300 or $400 for the year, just to cover some of the costs of the people who would be there to monitor the children. But even at that nominal fee, we got some resistance. So we may have to look at see what the impact would be if we didn't charge a fee, and if we carried the cost in our
But if you're looking at the budget for 2025, 26, that failed for the second year in a row, I mean, there's no money there for this.
That sort of becomes different.
Okay, I think we're going to put a nail in this coffin,
Yeah,
if
but
that's okay?
Pat, is our conversation enough to carry forward to the school board? Yeah, good.
And then do we want to follow up as the school year starts?
No, I didn't know if it was
Wait
necessary.
until somebody comes to us?
So I think that, so we're basically chartered by the school board, right? The school board says, hey, I need help with X, and we go tackle X.
Okay.
So
So
I
we
think
don't have to
we,
follow back up.
we leave it to, the community and the school board to help drive our agenda items too.
And if I can, I just want to, because you brought up the cemetery. The cemetery is, don't the trustees of the cemetery manage that? Or does the town actually put the sand and the dirt and whatever? Because he talked about doing some work around the cemetery on the side of the road.
Oh, on the,
So you get around the cars, yeah.
Yeah,
that right away would
cemetery
be,
is
that
not
would be
the
the
town
town's.
doesn't
That'd be
own that
DPW,
cemetery.
right?
Right, but,
That's just the road, I think that's just the road.
That's a dead end.
yeah,
You get it?
That's
Dead
funny, yeah.
end. Dead end.
One of the things you could do financially,
How many people are buried in that cemetery?
A lot of them.
All right, non-cemetery related conversation over here,
I can
please.
say finance-wise, there is a way to, and I'm sorry to say this. Kids would pay a lot more for parking fees. Kids do pay a lot more than $50 to park for a school year.
What does Bedford
Yeah.
pay, $100? Easy?
$150
Thank
per
you.
car.
Wow.
Wow.
When, how
And
long
and
has
the
it been that?
and the fees and there's 2 huge student parking lots that are completely full.
Yeah.
And there's overload that the town makes money at the baseball field
Correct.
by allowing them to
Yeah.
pay their
Do you know
park
how
there.
long it's been that high of a like, did they recently?
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was the expectation.
When I
is
first
that
got
it's
here, it was
150.
$25 a year.
I know, I remember
And then
it
we bumped it
being
up to 50,
40.
and
Oh.
holy hell
But they
happened,
but they
right?
use those fees to cover incidentals such as paying a crossing guard. So
Yeah.
it's,
There is one high school kid sitting at home watching this right now.
I know.
Probably
That's why
squirming
I'm
over
really
that
sorry.
idea.
But it's $1 a day,
But
right?
they'll,
It's
they'll all
$1 a
age out
day.
in
It's
4
not-
years and they'll
it's
never
not-
know the
Yeah.
difference. That should definitely be
Yeah,
one
that's
of
a good
the
idea, Donna.
official recommendations, though. What
Yeah.
Donna just said.
To increase.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds like we're way undercharging and we have been for
Yeah,
a long
to
time.
increase
There's
the
revenue on the
parking.
table available to
yeah.
deal with some of this stuff.
Yeah,
Get
and
behind
it's,
that.
There you go, Tim. You can write that on there.
Let's let them get behind that. We'll be off in the distance somewhere.
who's the student?
I don't think that's the responsibility of our committee, but we can certainly have made that recommendation right here and now with public record, because it's being filmed, right? Okay, all right, I think we're gonna move on the agenda, okay? Unless there's any, no last, okay, we're moving on. So upcoming meeting schedule. So Pat, did you wanna speak to any of the details here, what calendar?
Well,
we're
you
working?
asked, actually, I only had one response on dates. Donna. No, it was Donna.
I said I could do anything.
Yeah, I
Well,
said the
that's true.
same.
That was my response.
I said the same.
See? So that's what she.
Well, this
did.
is, and Donna's thought was, these are first Wednesday, or second Wednesday dates that I gave you. And looking at the dates and when they were, and knowing that the school board is only meeting once a month, or maybe this committee only wants to meet once this summer. So, you'll notice there's a couple of dates that don't have any as needed or alternate dates, because, the fourth Wednesday is Christmas and Thanksgiving. And the fourth Wednesday in February happens to be school vacation, but this meeting room is open, so you could meet if you wanted. But in years past, we had an actual schedule, we put the dates in the calendar, and we used to meet on a regular basis, so this is just a regular schedule.
I was gonna say, Lori Peters, so we're doing a goals meeting in June, and Lori Peters is planning to come in October to talk to this committee about our goals that would that would be of interest to this committee. So, all the years I've been here, we didn't have summer meetings. We always started in September, all the years.
And also, I was going to say, August 27th, that's the night before school starts. I think a lot of parents will be home prepping, teachers, faculty. That might be a difficult one.
So
My
I-
suggestion was actually going to be July 30th as the one summer meeting,
And then start in September again?
and then go to September, yeah.
So how about we use content to drive the decision making around the schedule? And if at the end of this meeting, there's nothing that's pressing for us to reconvene in the summer, then we just reconvene in the fall when we start to get more active with what the school board's planning and looking at. So maybe we revisit this at the end of the meeting and then make a determination.
Okay.
See if there's any open topics left. Yeah.
And I was gonna say, you'll know more, because we haven't discussed, like, the big drive for this committee would be if we're gonna put together the plan for the SAU and what that plan looks like, and that will happen at our June 21st meeting. So the last 2 years of this committee has been really absorbed by trying to get the SAU building passed. And obviously, I think it was just really bad timing. It was Murphy's Law, you know, for us. And, but the school board will make that determination, and you would still have the right to come back as a committee and say, we still want to do more or less, but that will happen.
All right, so we're going to move on through the agenda. We'll get back to meetings at the end. So SAU email addresses. So everyone is entitled on this committee to have an SAU email address. If everybody elects to do it, then I guess communications, Pat, become much easier, whereas we don't have to worry about Pat pushing out emails to the rest of us. But there's no particular pressure to do an SAU email, so putting that out to the committee for consideration here.
I put this on for two reasons, and I, first of all, the Budget Committee voted at their last meeting that everybody on the Budget Committee will have an SAU email. And as a result of that, plus the fact that we have the generic email that people can send to, well, right now, that email can only go to someone with an SAU email. Tim had to get an SAU email because as chair, he and I get a copy of that, so I have a record of it. And he gets a copy of it. So
For
now
the
we
record, Pat forced me to get the email.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because if it comes to me, no, I told him if he wants to be the one that gets the email, that's the rule of the website. That's the rule, that in order to get that. So what was happening in the past and what was happening here is that the chair and I would get the email, and then one of us would forward all of the emails out to you that came in. Was there 2 or 1 last year to this committee? It's not very often that we do. But the Budget Committee has requested that all Budget Committee members, they voted, took a vote and said all Budget Committee members will have an email. We don't publish emails. This committee, the Budget Committee, doesn't publish emails either. But instead of me having to forward or Tim having to forward everybody, having an SAU email, anybody that gets that link, and those of you the 2 of you that are on the Budget Committee, there was a lot of email last year and we had to wait and respond and whatever. We can have everybody get it that day.
It sounds like for this, there was 1 email last year.
Yeah, there's been very, very few.
Well, also that we had the right to know last year as well. So if you had an SAU email address, everything was on record versus
Yes.
those of us that did not, you had to forward it all. So it does make it easier if something like that does occur.
Right, which with the Budget Committee, that's a greater likelihood for that to happen there. Here, I can't imagine a right-to-know request. It could happen, but I would.
So it's an option, it's an option for everyone on the committee. If you have a desire to do it, let me and Pat know, and we will get it
We'll get you one,
set up.
and if you don't want it, that's fine too.
If you could just send my stuff to Lori, that would be perfect for me.
She's the boss.
She's secretary / boss / all of that, yeah, so.
We know that routine.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so SAU emails, we're moving on. Approval of prior, that's data. I don't think we're ready to just go into detail on that. It's my understanding.
Well, I asked Matt when he sent it to me, he asked me to put it in.
Okay.
No, you told me you wanted me to do that, so that's why I gave it to you.
So one of the requests at a prior meeting was that we were asking for the 5-year technical budget expenditures.
Yeah, look back, yeah.
And so that is that data, so, yeah.
And it includes federal funds, the ESSER money, and it includes the general fund.
But my understanding also, Matt, is that you're not at a point where you're ready to present any
No.
5-year forecast.
That's correct. It's just in.
So that was data
infancy,
for us
yeah.
to absorb.
Okay, I think we had also asked about like how many things were replaced, how many of like the.
You wanted a lot of budgetary detail
Yes,
on this?
yes, so that was just this stuff. Okay, perfect, thank you very much.
All right, so approval of prior minutes. Look for a motion to approve, well, do we want to talk about, is there any comments anyone want to add to prior minutes?
Are the minutes in?
I make a motion. I need to, I make a
motion.
motion that we approve the prior minutes as amended if necessary.
Just 1 second.
Seconded.
Okay, and then we vote. Accept meetings as stated. Meeting minutes,
Oh, abstain.
you're abstaining.
Staying, I wasn't here.
Did you read them?
Yes, but I still wasn't here.
She has to abstain anyway, just because she wasn't here.
I voted in the past.
Yeah, okay. But you can vote if you want.
Is that enough votes, Pat? Are we good on the meetings, meeting minutes? We're good, right? Yeah. Okay, cruising along. Okay, so we also have bylaw review on the agenda here. So I know that there has been conversation about whether this committee wants to consider having the school board rep vote within the votes that we do to put forward things to the school board.
So we're, at this point in time, the school board is so inundated with so many other things. This is just not the priority. Like, we do need to get some advice on this, but my recommendation is we vote for the bylaws as written. And if the school board can get to this at some point in time, then we can come back and discuss it.
Lori, can I point out to you that the bylaws have been approved by legal? They were approved in 1993. Legal was on the stage at the annual school district meeting when they were approved. They have been reviewed. They have been approved. And they have to be by law, by the bylaws, written and approved by this committee. The annual meeting is the one that says yes. The school board actually has nothing to do with them. And I have looked into this as I've been sitting going back through the minutes.
So I believe what I'm hearing though is that we would like to just leave the bylaws as they are for now, and that we are going to table this. Yep, so I don't know if we need to make any motions or votes on not changing the bylaws, because they're already
just leave 'em.
implemented and
If this committee
in
doesn't
full
want to
effect,
change them, then
so,
that's.
so there's, yep, so this is a topic that we will
Right.
also retire. Yeah, I'm moving right to it. All right, before we get to new business, so we've been invited to participate in the 4th of July parade. So if anyone on the committee is interested in walking, or I believe maybe even riding the floats for the 4th of July parade in town, please let me know.
So in the past few years, the school board has worked with Bailey's Towing, and Bailey's Towing gives us a tow truck, and we've invited the budget committee and the planning building committee and the school board to ride or walk beside the float. The float will be at Bailey's on July 3rd. People come together and decorate it, and then this committee would wear a white T-shirt. I don't know if we have time to get T-shirts made that say planning and building. The budget committee in the past, I know last year that for some reason it didn't work out with these committees, but I know Lori Peters made an effort to let everyone know they wear red T-shirts and the school board wears blue, so it's red, white, and blue. It's not a joke that the budget committee wears red, by the way, but it's just how it worked out. But anyway, but if anyone has any questions on that, they can talk to Lori Peters or I. It's really fun. The town is very supportive at the 4th of July. No one throws anything at us. They actually clap, and so it's really a very positive experience.
Thank you, Lori. All right, so I had one more thing before the new business, but maybe it's kind of the same question. So we are essentially given direction or subject matter to pursue from the school board. So we've worked through a lot of this list. We've retired pretty much everything that we were gonna really talk about. So just leave that question open to the school board. Is there anything that they would like us to focus on coming into the next semester?
So I would say most likely if we have to get to the goals meeting, and the goals meeting isn't to June 21st. So if something came up that was really pressant, that we really needed to have a summer meeting, we would definitely let you know.
That meeting is actually on the 19th.
Yes.
The 19th.
Oh, it's the 19th. I keep saying the wrong date because that's my nephew's wedding, so we're so sorry.
Our baby's due date, too.
Yeah. Sorry, but yeah, sorry.
All right, I think I'll speak for myself, but eager to get some things to go pursue and work as a team here to solve for the school board. All right, new business.
So, the school board, when someone leaves the school board, there's always a recognition, and there are people that have been on the planning and building committee, such as Gage Perry. I think he was on this committee for like 20 years. So when I talked to the school board about recognizing him, the school board felt that it would be more appropriate if we did it at a meeting here. This is the committee he served on, and have the honor be here. And so I didn't know if that was something that the committee would want, somebody who served 20 years, if we want to recognize him. I know we did not recognize Rich Henricks, who was another, people just came on this committee and stayed forever. I don't know. People used to knit during these committee meetings, and I think it was like kind of yoga. I don't know. But I don't know if that's something that the committee would like to do to recognize these people.
Thoughts?
If he wants to come back as a cross guard, we have an open position for that.
I like that.
I mean, we could still honor him, and then we can offer that position at the same time.
All right, so is this only prior building and planning committee members, or could it go beyond that?
Well, I was thinking like this committee would have to decide. I know for the school board, we recognize everyone if you serve 3 years or 20 years, I didn't know if, at 20 years, we give them a plaque, and at, 3 years, you get a certificate. I don't care what you decide. The school district, Matt, is gonna pay for the little plaque that we're gonna thank these people with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
You can find $12 and.
So how about we add that to the agenda for our startup in the fall?
Yeah, that sounds great, because we're not gonna do anything like it.
Okay.
And Finley, since you asked, you were elected in 2003, and then again in 2006, and apparently you stepped down in 2009, but you've been on continuously since then. I didn't remember that you had stepped down for a year.
I do remember that the reason I got on the planning and building committee was because I wanted to build a 3-grade level high school instead of a middle school. And the year I got elected, the middle school passed, and so I was relegated to coming up with parking patterns and things that I wasn't really interested in. But
Yeah, here you are.
so and our high school's still inadequate, and
Still one free floor.
so yeah. So, but anyhow, yeah, I don't remember taking the break.
Just 1 year break.
Why did I come back?
Well, there was a seat open.
That's,
Maybe we beat on you. I don't
oh, that's a possibility. I kind of now am recalling that.
You and Lori both
Maybe.
ran together in 2011.
Well, she made me continue because she had 1 year. She said, you
Yes.
can't step down because I've got 1 more year. So all of a sudden I had 3 more years.
It's date night.
It's as the Groffs know.
And I apologize, but I went and looked it up.
No, I appreciate that. I didn't even remember that until you just pointed out, and it's slowly coming back. But
Okay, so circling back to the meeting schedule, I'd propose that we pick a date in September to reconvene and do our standard summer hiatus?
I would say September 10th. It's right there where she put it
Okay.
for us would be our first choice. And Lori you said that Lori Peters would be able to come to that meeting and give us the goal review, if it had things to do with pertain to us.
Yes, would the committee give her the flexibility of saying, could you come to the September 10th or the September 24th? Would that work? I think she'll do whatever, but I know that she also is a teacher and does school, so.
Could it happen in October?
It could happen in October. I think the earlier she comes in, the better.
You were eager. I was wondering, because you're eager.
Hey, we could start this in August. I'm kidding.
Well, let's invite her to the 10th, and if she
Yeah.
can't make it, then we'll,
Yeah, if she can't do the 10th,
she'll let us know.
Right. We'll let you know, right,
Yeah,
okay.
so let's target September 10th, and then our alternate date will be September 24th.
Eliminate July and August.
Yes. Okay, so I believe that covers all of the content, but let me do my rundown real quick of the agenda. So we retired the drop-off conversation with JMUs with 3 recommendations. We don't need to reiterate those. We talked about that at length. We've decided on our schedule for the upcoming semester. I'll keep calling it that. And we have resolved, or well, communicated the availability of SAU emails. We approved prior minutes. We have retired the bylaw review conversation and shared that the 4th of July parade participation, please let me know if you're interested. Looking for some direction starting in the next semester from the school board as to what topics we can tackle. And we added to the agenda for the September semester the honoring of prior committee members as an agenda item. I think that's, did I miss anything? I think we're gonna talk about whether we do it, how we do it, yeah.
Are there any other parades besides the July 4th? I know that we'll be away. Some people go away for that. I mean,
July 4th is the big one, and then the next big one is Christmas.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Memorial Day there is one on Memorial Day, but
That was on there too.
You know, don't sneeze or miss it.
Anthony?
Just
Well,
a,
isn't that true?
it's the truth. Just a question, I guess, for folks who have been on the committee for a real long time. If you can recall any, most memorable moments or crowning achievements of Gage's time here, I'd love to hear if there's 1 or 2 things that people would mention. Is there anything you can think of?
Oh, well, what he brought to the table, I thought you meant for future discussion, but what Gage brought to the table was, he did operations in a big facility. I don't even know, can't remember who he worked for, but he, when it came to discussions about, I think the HVAC units that they were putting in, those type of things, he brought,
Depth of
conversation,
knowledge.
brought that expertise with him, and that was a big high point for me, I think, with him around. But,
And I could say, because he was on the Conservation Commission as well, when we started talking about fields,
Right.
yeah,
that was a nice contact and a nice piece to,
Yeah.
yeah. And athletic fields, but still he was aware of a lot of places and spaces around town.
A motion to adjourn? Gina?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I want to second it.
And shall we vote?
yes. It's a yes vote.
Okay, unanimous, adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
At 8:12.